Hi guys, it's Mrs. Alberts here and welcome back to my channel. Today we're looking at Wetenskapsmannetjies by Eintjie Krog. So wetenskap, as you know, is science. Mannetjies refers to men but little men, so it translates directly to little science men. Starting with the title, Wetenskapmannetjies, scientists. Because it's in the diminutive, it translates to little scientists. This is called litotes. It is a diminutive, but it's called litotes, the figure of speech. It's when something has a bigger meaning, but you refer to it as something small. It shows the writer or the speaker's contempt for the wetenskapmannetjies, for the scientists, so there's a negative connotation. Julle sit onder julle swart teleskope en kyk na die son, tot julle besef dat julle nooit daar sal kom. You sit under black telescopes and you look at the sun until you realize that you will never get there. In line 1, we look at the personal pronoun being used here, julle. They are being directly spoken to. She is speaking to them directly, and they are not appreciating the sun. You are sitting under, you'll see later, this is in contrast with line 7. Under is negative, it's a negative connotation. They are hiding under the black telescopes, and therefore we have this emphasis of them being so small that they can hide under the telescope, so it also emphasizes and strengthens the idea of the litotes being used in the title. Black telescopes. First, it's black because you cannot directly look at the sun with a normal telescope. You have to have a lens in the front to dampen the sun's rays so that you don't hurt your eyes. There's a filter that you need to use. It's normally black. Telescopes in general are mostly in the color black and silver, so you can also refer to that. Black also has a negative connotation to it. Even though here we have a literal black telescope, it does emphasize the negativity that she feels. The alliteration of the sit and swart emphasizes this tension, the silence that the scientists are experiencing. Teleskope is in plural. It means that there's not just one scientist, as it also links with the title. We've got multiple scientists, multiple telescopes, and many scientists are using their telescopes to look at the sun. They are all working at the same goal, but they are not working together. They are working alone. They are isolated. They are loners. What are they doing? They are looking at the sun. They are studying the sun and how the sun is changing over the years. In line 3, until you realize you'll never get there. They are staring at the sun, they are studying the sun, but the sun is a place that they will obviously never get to because of the fact that it's too hot. So this is very literal. You cannot literally go to the sun. Continuing with stanza 1 in line 4. Patheties bepaal julle dan die ligjare en vertel dat die son as te ware inkrimp en eendag gaan verdwyn. Pathetically, you determine the light years and tell that the sun actually is shrinking and will one day disappear. In line 4, we have inversie. Inversie means that we are not starting with our typical subject in the sentence. We have moved the words around in order to emphasize the word that is placed in first position. And here we've got the word patheties, which means pathetic. It links with a negative connotation. It links with the diminutive that she is speaking, the derogatory statement she is making, and the negative view she has on scientists. You look at ligjare. It is scientific jargon. Ladies and gents, ligjare is not time, it's distance. It's the distance that light will travel in a year, and that is about 9.4 billion kilometers, but nobody is exactly sure of that number. That is still just theory, just still an estimate. When we look at Asteware, that is what we call a taalfossiel or archaïse gebruik. That's an archaic use. It just means that it's a word that we don't use often in Afrikaans these days. It's mostly older people that use it. It's a very old way of speaking, literally translating taalfossiel to a language fossil. It means so te sê, or it shows that there's doubt in this theory. What is the theory? Well, line 5 and 6, the theory of the scientist, the sun is shrinking. Year by year, they can see the difference. It's almost like the sun is going to one day implode on itself and then have a supernova and be gone. The problem she, as the speaker, has with this is the fact that it is inevitable then. Why are you spending so much time, and why are you creating panic and fear in something that is going to be inevitable? We've got enjambment from line 4 to 6, and that enjambment, it fastens the pace of the poem and it binds this poem to a unit. Stanza 1 from line 1 to line 6, all sarcastic. It suggests that the scientists do not have a life. Starting with stanza 2 and line 7. Ons sit maar hoog op die windpomp en kyk hoe die son sy kop stamp teen die rand. We are sitting high on the windmill and watching how the sun bumps his head against the ridge. I told you in the first slide that in line 7 you are going to see a contrast between line 1 and line 7. Line 1 started with julle, which refers to the scientists. Here we start with the word ons, which refers to the speaker and the people around her. Probably people who feel the same way as she does, who has the same view that she has. And when we read the sentence, you get the idea why the entire thing is a contrast now between stanza 1 and stanza 2. Ons sit maar hoog op stands in contrast with line 1's under. So they are not sitting under anything, they are sitting high up on the windmill, on the wind pump, the wind pump. You can see here at the bottom, I have a little picture of the wind pump there for you. Maar shows you that she is looking down on scientists, that they, the people who feel like her and the speaker I'm talking about, that they have more important things to do. They are sitting high up. So line 1 and line 7 in contrast here. And we have the scientists sitting under telescopes, inside, probably cramped under telescopes, so there's not a lot of space, probably small offices, according to the speaker. And the speaker is sitting outside in the open space, high up on a windmill, and they can thus see very far. What can they see? Line 8 and line 9, they see the sunset. Here's personification, how the sun is bumping his head against the ridge. It basically means that the sun is going down and that round ball is hitting its head against the horizon. So it's just showing how she interprets the sunset as something beautiful. She can use figurative language to describe what she sees because she has appreciation for the sun and the sunset. We've got alliteration in line 8, emphasizing this personification. We've got enjambment not only from 8 to 9, but from 7 to 9 so far, and you'll see it actually continues all the way down. And at the bottom, those little pictures, this is more what they are seeing, the sunset, and they are experiencing it from a high altitude and they are enjoying it. They are really taking in the beauty that is given. Still with stanza 2, we continue, and you can see the enjambment continuing from 10 to 12. So we've got enjambment from line 7 to 12. Here we have hoe, and it says hoe hy bloei, hoe die vaal lig gloei, hoe die bome tot silhouette verskroei. How he bleeds, how the pale sky glows, how the trees scorch to silhouettes. Now I've brought up that picture before I started translating, so you can look at that picture and how she in 3 lines have described the sunset so beautifully. This is figure of speech. It's a very passionate description of a sunset. It's very, it uses a lot of senses. We can see the sunset, and she goes through it step by step. So she starts with hoe hy bloei, how he bleeds. If you look at the sun, you'll see that the yellow of the sun becomes an orange, becomes a red, as you look at the colors spreading all over the sky. And when we bleed, our blood runs out. We can also have a pen that bleeds, meaning the ink is running out and spreading. So this is what the bleed here means. It does refer to the red as well, but more of how it spreads. How this beautiful sunset makes the very bland background, this blue, dull sky, into multicolors. How it glows. So here we have the glow, and you can see that red glow, orange glow emanating from the center where the sun is setting. And then my favorite description here is the silhouettes of the trees. When you look at the picture, you'll see that those trees look almost black, and the sun does scorch. So she used a beautiful word. And what happens when you scorch a twig or a plant? It becomes black. So because the sun is setting, the trees that were once green now becomes black, almost like it was scorched. Beautiful description there. There's a repetition of the word who, and that repetition emphasizes how important the sun is, step by step, to look at the sun setting. There's an alliteration of the L sounds, if you look from line 10 to 12. There's progression here. Every single line becomes longer than the previous one. This emphasizes this picture of the sun going down, and our skaduwees, now I can't get to the word. Our shadows, I got the word. Our shadows lengthen. Haha, got it. There's a difference between stanza 1 and stanza 2. In stanza 1, we had the scientists analyzing the sun and looking at how the sun could be our final doom when it implodes or when it shrinks and it dies out or disappears. And in stanza 2, we've got the people who appreciate, the speaker and her friends appreciating the sun and looking at its beauty. So basically, and I know that's the night sky, but I couldn't find other pictures, but there you've got people under the telescope looking at something versus the speaker and her friends appreciating nature. Starting with stanza 3. Daarom, liewe menere, teken ek klawertjies tussen my huiswerk. Kry ek 26%, want ek luister eerder na die verdwaalde Koran tussen die bossies by die tennisbaan. And therefore, dear gentlemen, I draw shamrocks amongst my homework, get 26% because I would rather listen to the stray bastard between the bushes at the tennis court. Daarom is 'n redegewende voegwoord, is a reason-giving conjunction. So she has now shown the difference in stanza 1 and stanza 2 between her and the scientists. And here's the conclusion, the reason for this poem being written. She would rather be drawing something between her homework than doing what they are doing. The commas emphasize the liewe menere. Liewe menere is sarcastic, ladies and gents. She is not showing respect when she says liewe menere. So we've got the sarcasm there. It shows contempt. It's also called an apostrophe. And then shamrocks, the klavertjies. Yes, it is 4-leaf clovers, but 4-leaf clovers are actually named shamrocks in English, which means, because normal clovers only have 3 leaves, so at the moment it's got 4. It's a woohoo, great thing. She draws shamrocks between her homework in the hope, probably because it's a sign of luck, that she would do better. The irony here is that even though she has these little 4-leaf clovers everywhere and she's hoping for luck, she still gets 26% for her homework. So if you get 26%, you are failing. And if you are failing, it probably means that you are not really interested. In my case anyway, that was the case with me. Line 15 starts with want. And again, she's continuing with the reasons why she is failing here. Why did she fail? Because she wasn't paying attention. She would rather listen. And this is sintuiglike waarneming. She's experiencing something with her senses. She chooses to rather listen to a bird outside than listen to the teacher. So she is listening to a bustard or a heathcock. That's that little bird. As you can see, it's a little thing that you find in the Free State where she grew up, and they run around in those beautiful flat environments. Something that I don't think I have ever seen, but it looks like it could be quite a pretty bird. But she would rather listen to them running around. Continuing with that last stanza, stanza 3. Enkwadreer liewer my vreugdes en vind dan die logaritme van my hartseer, want syfers bring eensaamheid wat geen mens kan keer. I prefer to quadrate my joys, find the logarithm of my heartache, because numbers bring loneliness which no man can stop. Now, before we start with our whole thing, let me explain. The book they prescribed, the department prescribed for us, has line 20 and 21 as part of the third stanza. But originally the poem was written with line 20 and 21 as a separate and final couplet. So when we do this, we are going to talk about the couplet at the bottom. Please remember it's because the original poem had a gap between 19, which was the final part of stanza 3, and then line 20 and 21 is part of the final couplet. Okay. So quadreer en logaritme, that is jargon. You all know that jargon. That's science, it's math, it's all those things we hate. If you are great at it, you probably don't hate it as much as I do, and the speaker apparently. But it's a metaphor. It means that she is using this, what she has learned, the little 26% that she knows. She is saying that she would rather quadrate her happiness, her joys, meaning she would rather increase them, she would multiply them, and she would rather find something to the log of her heart, meaning she wants to lessen it, she wants to find a way to make it less. We've got the en herhaling in that line 18 and 19, linking the two lines together, and also obviously, as I said, it's ending off the stanza 3. Then we start our final couplet with want, again, redegewende voegwoord. So again, she is giving another reason why she would rather do all these things like listen to the bustard, have 26% for her homework, quadrate her joys, and finding the log of her sadness or her pain, her heartache. Because she says that syfers, so numbers, bring loneliness that no person can stop. No man can stop it. She believes that scientists are very lonely people. She doesn't want to be one of them. She wants to be happy and free and living a life where she doesn't need to worry about algebra. Oh, don't we all wish? So yay to happiness, no to math and science. And there is a contrast between how the speaker is feeling and how the scientists are feeling, and the speaker is emphasizing in this entire poem how she feels about scientists. Now remember, ladies and gents, when we look at a poem, it is the speaker's opinion. It's not necessarily something that is true. This is how she feels. I probably feel the same way. There are many of you out there feeling the same way, but it does not mean that numbers bring loneliness. Those of you who can do math and can do science, please go ahead, become engineers, do what you do best. Unfortunately, some of us just don't like it as much. Thanks for watching, guys. Remember, if you've got any questions, you can follow me on Instagram at Afrikaans Classroom. Please subscribe to my channel for more videos, like and share.